Hello. Today's letter comes to us from Polly Anna, who writes, Dear Brother Ron, for my youth group, we looked at Luke 19:5 and 6, and we were asked what we had learned about using what we have, upscale or humble, for gracious hospitality. I'm supposed to be prepared to talk for 2 minutes in response to this question, but I'm not really sure what to say or where to start. Do you have any ideas? Well, dear Pollyanna, when Jesus calls us to receive him, we must be ready and willing to welcome him with full hospitality. We must also be aware that sometimes Jesus comes to us in forms which we may not recognize at first. Consider the following story. Ruth went to her mailbox, and there was only one letter. She picked it up and looked at it before opening it, but then she looked at the envelope again. There was no stamp, no postmark, only her name and address. She read the letter. Dear Ruth, I'm going to be in your neighborhood Saturday afternoon, and I would like to visit. Love always, Jesus. Her hands were shaking as she placed the letter on the table. Why would the Lord want to visit me? I'm nobody special. I don't have anything to offer. With that thought, Ruth remembered her empty kitchen cabinets. Oh my goodness, I really don't have anything to offer. I'll have to run down to the store and buy something for dinner. She reached for her purse and counted out its contents. $5.40. Well, I can get some bread and cold cuts at least. She threw on her coat and hurried out the door. A loaf of French bread, a half-pound of sliced turkey, and a carton of milk left Ruth with a grand total of 12 cents to last her until Monday. Nonetheless, she felt good as she headed home, her meager offerings tucked under her arm. Hey, lady, can you help us, lady? Ruth had been so absorbed in her inner plans, she hadn't even noticed two figures huddled in the alleyway, a man and a woman, both of them dressed in little more than rags. Look, lady, I ain't got a job, and my wife and I have been living out here on the street, and, well, now it's getting cold, and we're getting kind of hungry, and, well, if you could help us, lady, we'd really appreciate it. Ruth looked at them both. They were dirty, they smelled, and frankly, she was certain that they could get some kind of work if they really wanted to. Sir, I'd like to help you, but I'm a poor woman myself. All I have is a few cold cuts and some bread, and I'm having an important guest for dinner tonight, and I was planning on serving that to him. Yeah, well, okay, lady, I understand. Thanks anyway. The man put his arm around the woman's shoulders, turned, and he headed back into the alley. As she watched them leave, Ruth felt a familiar twinge in her heart. Sir, wait. The couple stopped and turned as she ran down the alley after them. Look, why don't you take this food? I'll figure something else out to serve my guest. She handed the man her grocery bag. Thank you, lady. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. It was the man's wife, and Ruth could see now that she was shivering. You know, I've got another coat at home. Here, why don't you take this one? Ruth unbuttoned her jacket and slipped it over the woman's shoulders. Then, smiling, she turned and walked back down the street without her coat and with nothing to serve her guest. Thank you, lady. Thank you very much. Ruth was chilled by the time she reached her front door, and worried too. The Lord was coming to visit, and she didn't have anything to offer him. She fumbled through her purse for the door key, but as she did, she noticed another envelope in her mailbox. That's odd. The mailman usually doesn't come twice in one day. She took the envelope out of the box and opened it. Dear Ruth, it was good to see you again. Thank you for the lovely meal, and thank you, too, for the beautiful coat. Love always, Jesus. The air was still cold, but even without her coat, Ruth no longer noticed. Let me close by quoting Matthew 25:40. And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto the least of one of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. You might also check Mark 12:42 and 43. Hope this helps. Thank you for joining us.